Hey everyone, welcome back. Episode 2 of Evolving Profits. I just wanted to thank everyone so much for the warm response we received on our first episode. We're already getting subscribers. I really appreciate it, you guys. It's so cool to see that other people are interested in what we have to say here. We've also started publishing our shorts. Make sure to check those out. I think you guys will find those really interesting as well. So episode 2, what are we going to be talking about today? We're diving into the concept of sealed collectible investing, right? Specifically in Pokemon, of course. So to start that off, what do we have to talk about first? Well, first we need to define what a collectible is. So a collectible by definition is something that we collect. There is a community that desires to collect it. Of course, we're talking about Pokemon. So Pokemon specifically has a wide range of items that you can collect. It might be that you're into collecting the cards themselves. That's most of us, right? It might be that you're into collecting sealed, right? Just like I am, you see the boxes in the back. Really, what matters though is that it's sealed, right? So let's talk about what sealed means. Sealed itself means that it is unopened. Now, it might seem intuitive, but really what it means when something is sealed is that it's authentic. It is untampered with. It is genuine. And that's what gets us collectors going, right? That's where the value comes from. Something is sealed, so therefore there is that assumed authenticity. Now the second part, right? Sealed collectible investments. What makes something an investment? Well, an investment, to keep it simple, is something that you expect to appreciate over time. Maybe that's investing in shares of a company like Apple or Microsoft. Maybe that's buying bonds that pay you a certain percentage over time. Maybe you're more with the times, you're buying a digital asset like Bitcoin, for example, or maybe a more traditionally known option, which is real estate, owning a home, owning rental properties. Those are investments, right? Now, when you bring all this together, we understand what's a collectible, we understand how something's an investment, we understand what it means to be sealed. We get sealed Pokemon investments. And what we mean by that specifically is that these items that we have, such as the ones you see here, they appreciate over time. Now, it can be pretty straightforward. You can go on something like TCG Player and look up, say, a chart of an Evolving Skies box, right? Might be a little bit hard for you to see, but I have one right there. And really what we see if we zoom out, right? The chart goes up and to the right. So it can be kind of viewed just like a stock, right? It appreciates over time. And why is that? Well, it comes down to two things: supply and demand. Now, maybe you're chasing that Umbreon right there, which is in that Evolving Skies box. But one of the things that we need to understand that drives the price of that box, and that over time, the price of that box will easily be higher than the Umbreon or the Moonbreon, right? The Moonbreon itself. And you might ask yourself, well, why is that, right? And this is a foundational thing that we need to understand if we are ever going to be investing, right, in something like sealed Pokemon collectibles. And where that comes from is two factors, right? One is that a sealed item, so let's just say a booster box, a sealed booster box is deflationary. Every time someone opens it, there is one less on the market, right? Meaning it is more scarce. Every time someone opens that box, they might pull the Moonbreon, right? Which we're all aware of. This is the OG Moonbreon, but you'll come to know I really like vintage, but to each their own. And the concept of that means the single cards themselves are inflationary, meaning that the supply goes up over time. So to maintain that same value, there has to be an increase in demand. Whereas something that is deflationary, like a booster box, where there are fewer and fewer every time someone opens it, it is going down in supply, meaning that you could maintain the same amount of demand and that would still drive the price up over time. So what's amazing is that Pokemon continues to build on their brand, build on their IP. They continue to draw in more and more people over time. The most recent boom before this one that we're currently in, that's just getting started, was the COVID boom, right? And the COVID boom is actually a very good example that I want to talk about. And the reason that I want to talk about that is that was the last time we saw a massive demand. Maybe some of you remember it. Maybe some of you saw that Logan Paul video. The point is that there are always these booms. So sealed investments, sealed collectibles, whatever we want to call them, are much more the style of spiking and then leveling out, spiking and then leveling out. Whereas a stock or maybe an S&P 500 index might go slowly, gradually over time, right, in terms of how it increases. But the point is that before that, the last big boom was in 2016 when they released Pokemon Go. Yes, I'm sure all of you tried that out, right? And it brought more people in. We've just recently had the Pokemon Pocket game come out where you can open virtual packs, right? The point is the Pokemon company is continuing to build up that demand. They're continuing to bring people in. There are more and more people every day that are wanting to open things like booster boxes. And I want to talk a little bit more about booster boxes because I believe that booster boxes are one of the best investments, right? Sealed investments when it comes to Pokemon. And the reason being is that they are the most bang for your buck, right? They are sealed 36 packs, and many believe that they are seeded, right? Meaning that there's going to be a certain amount of hits, give or take. And a single booster box is going to be like what you see behind me. And then you have items that are sealed in a factory case. So right here, you're going to see a factory sealed case of SV07, and that's specifically Stellar Crown. I just grabbed one out of my closet, and that was a good one to give you guys an example. But it is believed by most and accepted by most that that's going to be your most common way to invest in sealed product with Pokemon. But recently, as of 2023, Pokemon has introduced a new concept that, in my opinion, we should give thought to, right, in terms of sealed collectibles, sealed investments, and that is the Pokémon Center Elite Trainer Box. Now, you see two in the back right there. You see the Obsidian Flames one and the Scarlet Violet 151 Elite Trainer boxes through the Pokémon Center. And what is done is that the Pokémon Center itself, which is a direct way for Pokemon to sell their own product, right? They release these sealed boxes in a fixed quantity. So it meets the collectible item, it's sealed, right? Therefore, it can be investable, right? And the thing that makes them unique is that they have a Pokemon Center stamp on the promo. A really good example is the Snorlax one, right? That one, oh my gosh, look at how big the price has jumped up on that one, right? And the concept of it is that these Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes, we're only in our second year with those. We don't have a track record of how those are going to perform. Elite Trainer boxes, to this point, usually will reach a certain amount and then they're kind of stuck, matching the price per pack, like the packs inside them, right? Whereas a sealed booster box case or a sealed booster box will often continue to climb at a much more rapid pace, right? We've seen the Sun and Moon era, for example, where those have outperformed, but over time, generally speaking, it is assumed that a booster box over time will be probably your best bet. But the key thing to keep in mind is that a sealed booster box or a sealed booster box case has more utility, right? It has more packs. With a Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box, we can only appeal to the collectors. With a sealed booster box or a sealed booster case, we have a much wider audience. What if someone's really wanting to chase that chase card that's inside there? So for example, in Scarlet Violet 151, there's the Charizard or the Sunzard, as many people are calling it, right? And that's going to be more appealing to them. And then you have what is also continuing to drive this market, right? It's not just the standard consumer that's causing this organic demand. We also have the rip and ship culture. So think Whatnot, think Fanatics, eBay Live, right? And they're constantly opening packs, right? We're constantly deflating the amount of supply on the market. We're inflating the amount of single cards that are on the market, right? And by definition, if something becomes more scarce, the demand stays the same or increases, you're going to see the price of that item follow, right? And that's what is happening over time. And we're kind of in an unprecedented level of demand right now. And yes, I do mean that. We're seeing more demand that is organic and that is steadily growing, even compared to COVID. COVID itself caused everyone to be stuck at home. We were maybe kind of without as much to do, right? So a lot of people were given those free stimulus checks and we were able to kind of spend it, if you will. We had nothing better to spend it on. And a lot of us bought Pokemon, and you saw those slabs inflate in price, and they've since crashed down, and maybe they'll never get back to that price. But the point is, it drew more people back in. And so knowing this, right, knowing that we have more organic demand, right, we have Pokemon printing more product than ever to meet this demand, but we have more people who are talking about it, like me, on YouTube, right? I care about this enough to talk about. We have the rip and ship culture where people are constantly opening packs, ripping boxes. Those are continuing to be removed from the market, right? All of this together, it really makes it compelling that you can consider a sealed collectible in Pokemon, like a booster box or a booster case, to be something that you could invest in, because by definition, we do anticipate the price to go up as it becomes more scarce. Now, just something to keep in mind with that, right? Whenever you're doing this, you need to be able to figure out what works for you. There are more than one way to skin a cat, if you will. I've mentioned booster boxes. I've mentioned Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes, which that Pokemon Center stamp, in my opinion, that's the modern day first edition stamp. Maybe that's the first time you've heard it here, but I just want to bring that up. But the point is that you really want to see what works for you. For example, here at Evolving Profits, we don't just buy sealed booster cases. We don't just buy booster boxes. We don't just buy Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes. We'll have loose packs, right? So, for example, I do sell to a lot of streamers, and you have to have a lot of loose packs for that. So this is 151, right? I'm selling these at the end of the week to one of my guys. And you just have to constantly have a lot of supply for this. But I really wanted to show that to give you guys the concept of how much is really being ripped. Like all of that, that's 150 packs, right? That's going to be gone by this weekend. It's going to be shipped out to all of those people that are buying on Whatnot. And that that supply continues to go down because there's a certain level of demand, right? And it's really just fascinating to me, right? This is something that maybe you enjoy collecting, as you can see that I do. Maybe you're just in this to be able to make money. But the point is that that's what's so interesting about this hobby to me, is that you can do so much with it, right? Maybe you guys have already seen the short and you saw what one of our members here at Evolving Profits did with that Greninja, that he graded a PSA 10 and flipped it for a 1700% return, right? You can also do that, right? You can take those singles, you can put them in plastic, and you can sell them on the open market. And I think it's just so interesting. And this is only something that comes about because Pokemon understands that what they produce is collectible. And how do they make it collectible though? And that's kind of what I want to tie this together with. The reason that all of this works is that they have what are called controlled print runs, or printing cycles, right? So we have these different blocks in what the TCG itself is. And that's what's so funny about Pokemon. Their majority of their customers do not play the TCG itself, right? But what matters is that whether we're in block E, block F, block G, what matters is that we eventually are no longer getting that product. So let's say Team Up, for example, right? Team Up itself is not in print anymore, right? That was from the Sun and Moon era. Then we had Sword and Shield, which we see behind me, and now we're in the Scarlet Violet era. Pokemon usually stops printing a certain set about 3 years from its release, sometimes less, usually not more, right? At least on the English side, right? And that's just something that inherently means that it will have scarcity over time. And one of the reasons that I know we are continuing to see this boom, this current boom that we are in, right? We haven't really had a boom since the COVID era, and prior to that was Pokemon Go. But really, what's happening here is that we have a rip and ship culture that is growing and growing rapidly. And before we know it, it's going to be just ingrained in this hobby, right? I can't speak to the other hobbies, but I think the sheer volume of Pokemon involved members that are collectors, right? It's just off the charts. And as we continue to see these ripped, right? As we can continue to see the supply deflate, meaning decrease, the demand stay steady or grow, as we're seeing it grow, there is nowhere for the prices to go but up. You know, as with any good investment, that means that you're not holding it for a day, you're holding it for years, right? You're storing it. So just be aware that whenever you're doing that, you need to keep that in mind, right? Again, not financial advice, just letting you know what I personally do, right? I have many of these cases tucked away, but I do more than that, right? I collect, right? I like the OG Moonbryon, right? I flip, right? I sell to streamers. I sell to locals. I supply vendors in my area that do card shows, kind of, not the Bulbasaur, I do not know him, but I sell to vendors just like the Bulbasaur. And really, what's so cool about this is that there's so much I'm going to be able to unpack with you guys, so much more to talk about. And again, if you're enjoying these conversations, just like, comment, subscribe. Looking forward to the next one, you guys, and I'll talk to you guys soon.